Very well, thanks for dropping by. Off you go.
Okay, so last night Sparrow came back with yet another really kind of a funny thing to tell us, and I have to share it because this takes me back to about 2019 when we were in the deep, dark world of Kennedy's Star Wars. And this is Auntie Gutierrez. She did that Star Wars show. She and she doesn't. That Star Wars show no longer exists. They do have a show, but it's not called that anymore. And she was walking through the Lucasfilm offices, and fans were watching it just because. And outside of a cubicle, the social media person's cubicle, was a picture of Luke Skywalker with a red X through his face. Now, the young man who was a social media guy at the time, he was a black man, basically said it was a joke. But he disappeared because the fans went, hypersonic, pissed off. People are making videos. Does Lucasfilm hate Luke Skywalker? This is Andy Gutierrez drinking from a fanboy tears cup. Okay, why wouldn't we think they hated Luke? Now, the black guy was replaced by this Michelle Buckman, who was involved with rewriting Ripley. If you guys remember the story about that, I'll take you back someday for that one. So, I wanted to give you a preamble, or I wanted to set this up. Nazgul decided to bring back Remedial Star Wars to the story group and the staff. And somebody on the story group staff who participated in the red X across Luke Skywalker's face joke is now being forced to write a story memo about who Luke Skywalker is. It's a bit of a humiliation. If you work for Lucasfilm in that capacity, you should be very familiar with Luke Skywalker. And the Nazgul were like, you're going to write this. And it's literally one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. And the thing about it is, when you look at who is working at Lucasfilm, you have people who outright say they hate Luke Skywalker, that when Luke goes to rescue Leia, they say she should have punched him. You've got misandrous like Robin or Rain Roberts, etc., working for Lucasfilm. These shenanigans, this out of control, immature bullshit, skateboarding through the halls of Lucasfilm. Skateboarding. No. Professional environment, act professional. You ought to know what you're talking about when you write Star Wars. And this goes in the complete opposite direction of so much of what Kennedy did. Like Tony Gilroy telling his Andor staff, don't write Star Wars. Forget everything you loved about it. It's like, then it's not Star Wars. Leslie Headland, when she was talking about making Star Wars, A, attacks George Lucas in an AV Club podcast, B, hired a bunch of women who don't know shit about Star Wars. All right. And they didn't care to find out. All right. They didn't care to find out. You can't take a franchise like this and just dump shit into it and expect it to be great. Okay. And look, this is all Kathleen Kennedy's fault. She allowed this to happen. And we are trying to figure out why they're still there. Yesterday, it was reported that she attempted to go on the campus of Lucasfilm and was basically told she was not allowed in at all. And now it appears that she's going to try to get another face-to-face with Iger. Now, to me, this looks like a game of chicken, but with all of them, because look, if you are anybody who is involved in that stupid, immature 5-year-old game, Luke Skywalker with the red X across his face, not realizing that idiot Andy Gutierrez, who's a bitch, by the way, was going to be filmed walking past it, and everyone was going to pick up on it, and now you're paying for it. It's because of the way you behave. It's how immature you are, and the fact that the fans are pissed now. This was actually a real, I think, breaking point, because then Disney already knew they had a problem with Lucasfilm. Then they really had a problem with Lucasfilm.
How rude. Oh, she's horrible. I've made a ghastly, ghastly mistake.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
So when you're looking at this, okay, which one of the story cretins was involved with the Red X? Probably all of them in some way, at least the ones in San Francisco, right? Because that's where that picture was hanging, outside that guy's cubicle. I remember him coming on to Twitter saying that it was just a joke, blah, blah, blah. I had a picture of him making a really weird, body gesture in front of the Yoda statue. It was kind of weird. They hired this Michelle Buckman, who decided to try to ally herself with rewriting Ripley to chase off actual Star Wars fans, because there's something toxic in the fandom. Okay, whatever. Okay, Michelle. And these people, we were dealing as fans with people who are less mature than a 4-year-old in some places. So who could it have been? Could it have been him? Pablo? Maybe it's Pablo. It's not Jennifer Heddle, but she is the one that says, and I quote, fucking calling Luke a fucking moron. Could it have been Matt Martin? Could it have been Ashley Sharp? Could it have been one of the Acolyte producers, Rain Roberts? Could it have been this guy, Phil Sostak? Could it have been Jason Stein? It doesn't matter. Bob Iger went in there to absolutely tip over the coffee table. Okay, he went in there with a baseball bat to crash everything they've been doing into the dust. Okay, so with this, it basically he basically told the Nazgul, make them want to quit. Okay, make them want to leave. All right, now I don't think that you're going to get rid of Pablo unless you fire him, and I think that's with him that's going to happen. Some of these other people, though, might be like, look, I don't need to take this shit. I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan, and leave. Okay. Kennedy can't do anything for them. She can't protect them from this. What the Nazgul are doing is trying to assess how serious these guys are about the franchise. I'd make Carrie Beck write an essay about who Indiana Jones is. All right, I would make Rain Roberts do a essay on who Han Solo is. These are the things that really, I think, need to happen, because it is that important to figure out who is working there. Meanwhile, Kennedy, is back in the U.S., but she's not allowed onto the campus of Lucasfilm. Okay, so are we in a state of chicken until 2024? I don't think so. I do have some information on the Acolyte, which actually opens up a lot more questions because I have their audit. I have the audit that the auditors put into that, and it's very shocking how much money suddenly appeared in the coffers there. Okay, so, this ongoing war is happening, and because of who Iger is and what he does, he will likely win. Kennedy can only blow smoke for so long. But I wanted you guys to know what the Nazgul are doing to make the story group suffer because of their inability to love Star Wars. One of them, who's involved with the Red X Luke, has to write a story memo about who Luke Skywalker is. There you go. I know who Luke Skywalker is, you do. You're fans. These people didn't care. And remember, you had them saying they fucking hated Luke Skywalker, that that Leia should have punched him. Everything they could do to drag Luke and Han through the mud. Think about the comics. Han loses the Millennium Falcon. That would not happen. And he and Chewie would get it right back too, if that ever happened. So I'm like looking at this going, these people had no regard for the legacy of George Lucas. This is what disrespecting history and telling kids, if you're a professor, that these are just dead white men, has done to the respect millennials and older Zoomers have for the past. They have none. And this is what happens. The investors get to pay for it. So I thought this was funny, and I'm going to do another video about Headland and blue stocking in London. I'll see you guys around the galaxy.